Alrighty. Coffee grind live. We got the music going right and the intro going right this time, but I had all the background stuff going wrong. So we all saw nothing but the banner for like the first 30 seconds. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got one person. That is my I love it there on the YouTube. Hello. Welcome. Say hi. So tonight y'all get to not only just see me as you had the last couple of weeks. So we have a special guest. Y'all know if y'all know me, y'all know how I am with names. So to make sure I don't mess this up. All right. So um we've got Miss Anjua Maximo. Maximo. So she is a life and sensual movement coach for women, as well as a serial entrepreneur. Alongside with a coaching career, she has a micro gym that she's run for the last 8 years and has been coaching for over a decade. So please, everybody, welcome to the broadcast. Make sure I say it right this time. Anjua Maximo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hold on, let me get my. Let's see if I can get an applause here. There we go. Welcome, 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 welcome in.
Hello, hello, hello.
So
You said
welcome
it perfectly.
in. And yeah, I was like on, not in, on, not in. Like Angel. So welcome in. So I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, do this broadcast and sitting back and chatting with us. Appreciate that. Um so we kind of connected on TikTok, and
Mhm.
you have blown up over there. You've got a great community of women and a few men. I think I'm,
Mhm.
one of those that are
Mhm.
in there that
Mhm.
are supporting, but you've got a great community over there, um, helping to, in my opinion, empower women and help them, with all things with self development. So, guess I just want to start off with so life coach, sensual coach for women. Like,
Yeah.
explain to me and the viewers, like, kind of what all that entails. Oh,
You were one of the first coaches that I connected with on TikTok. Back when
oh,
I
wow.
didn't know we existed on TikTok. I just thought we had to dance. So I was like, no, there were people saying inspiring things on there. And then you came across. So yeah, and
Awesome.
I've been so inspired by so many of your videos too. So I was so happy that you reached out. But basically, what I do as a life and sensual movement coach for women is depending on what it is who is
Uh-oh.
feeling lost in your purpose, if you're someone who's wants to get a career or what you want to do next, if you're someone who's always wanted to start something or accomplish a goal and you've been terrified, or someone who has wanted to just shift their lifestyle and they've just had trouble doing it, I can help you with that. And if you're a person who struggles with connecting to your body, if you feel disconnected, if you have felt um, like you don't have sensuality, you don't even know what that is, you don't know where to begin, afraid of expressing yourself sexually, or you've been shamed with my sensual movement coaching.
Okay, we're breaking up a little bit there, but I think we
Okay.
I
Did you catch
think
most
we
of
got
it?
most.
All right.
Yeah, I think we caught most of it. So,
Okay.
yeah, so but so shame. I mean,
Mhm.
this that kind of caught my ear. We just talk real quick. I mean, that's a huge one that I think a lot of people deal with. Just in general, just deal with shame. Do you see that a lot, or is that something that is 50-50, or you probably?
No, I would
No.
say that shame is driving uh, out, in particular when it comes to the sensual movement part, right? There's a great deal of shame that many of my clients have experienced, whether it be traumatic beginnings, an introduction to their sexuality that was traumatic, not of um, not of their free will.
Mhm.
If what they make themselves mean about the situation afterward. This is a lot what happens is that we have a trauma that happens, or we're given a certain message at a young age about our bodies, about how we express ourselves, or we're seeing images constantly, as people from young ages of what, you know, women are supposed to like, behave like, and we're kind of fit into these very very narrow archetypes. There is just so much room for shame if you don't measure up, if you identify too much with the person who they claim to be a whore, if you may be a prude, or you know what I'm saying? Like we
Yep.
what we're supposed to feel or express, everybody really, but women in particular, because this is what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, there's a great deal of shame. You're either too overtly sexual, or you're not enough, or you're nothing in the middle, or you're ignored and you're invisible. And there's just nothing but ripe ground for shame to grow.
Right.
Can you catch that? Did I break up or did you hear that?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit. I don't know if it's on my end
Really?
or yeah,
Ah,
it
that's
was
so
getting good,
weird. Okay. Because I
but
haven't, I usually am in this spot. So let me know if you need me to repeat any of that.
yeah, I got it. It started. I started breaking up with the last couple of sentences. I think you were saying. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So we're going to move on. So we're going to push on.
Mhm.
So yeah. So yeah. I can see it. On either side of that paradigm. That people, especially women, can identify. They don't want it's such a mind, you know, mess with your mind to try to, like you got to play this
Sure.
almost this perfect down the line kind of role of okay, can't be too much of this, can't be too much of that. It can kind of
But
mess you
you all
up.
have to go through that too, though. You men
True.
are experiencing that too. I mean, there's performance anxiety. You Basically, I know plenty of men who have dealt with shame or expectations they think are
Uh-oh.
not fitting
Yeah.
expectations. Like there's so much shame and pressure too on both sides. But again, because we're talking about women, that's what I'm addressing. But I don't want people to think that it's only women. Like
True.
the indoctrination runs all the way through. Do you know what I
No,
mean? Yeah.
absolutely. No, yeah, absolutely right. And it's those social norms and that social narrative that kind of gets strained through both sides of it.
Yeah,
Both sides.
absolutely.
And then pitted against each other, which is never.
Then that part, right? When we're
Yeah,
actually both kind of needing to fight against the same thing, which was whoever decided to put these expectations against women and whoever decided to create these expectations for men.
right. Exactly.
Hmm.
Um, so with that, that's a very important purpose, a very important part of the healing journey. So I guess, do you see that as kind of like we're on the shame part. So the shame part, do you see that like delving into people's purpose as well? Like kind of like that
Oh
kind
yeah.
of coincides together. Because what I've seen, like with my coaching, is it's never just one thing. Never hits one area. It's
No.
normally just goes
It
through.
permeates.
It weaves its way through everything.
Well, here's the thing, and that's why they'll figuring out they got to move their bodies, right? Or they'll be
Mhm.
moving their
Yeah.
bodies, and now they're all connected and fired up, and they want to go create some goals. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Right.
like
Right.
they're not starting to feel confident in themselves, and all of a sudden this energy is moving in a different way, and they feel possession of themselves. That starts to confidence seeps into other areas of your life. Now I find my voice. Now I've got a chance to speak my truth. The other way
Right.
around, though, yeah, you have women that come to me who want so badly to follow their purpose, but they have shame around whether disappointments because it's not what their parents set out for them to do, or
Mhm.
what people who invested in them, and I have stories of clients who are like, well, they invested so much money in my grad school, they invested in me. How do I turn around and say this is not what I want to do? So there's
Right.
there's a little bit, there's a shame of realizing at a later age that you don't want
Yep.
to do the thing that you've been doing. That happens a lot too. And I try to help my clients reframe it as not a midlife crisis for those that are older, my older female clients coming to me. It's a midlife awakening.
Right.
We look at it that way, right? So there's no realizations that they feel they should have had sooner. Okay, so they'll
Right.
come to me, they'll have these, you've probably seen this, they're coaching with you, and then it comes from excitement over what they learned, and then they go reflecting and feeling bad that they didn't learn it sooner. There's this shame. Instead of them rejoicing and having the information, now they're going to feel bad and berate themselves for not knowing it sooner.
Right. So how do
Mhm.
you is it just you have to get them in that mind state to how do you pull them out? Because a lot of times that's sticking in the past. They're stuck in the
Yeah.
past of I wish, I wish, I wish.
Hmm.
What is there any certain tools that you use to kind of pull them out of that, or is it just you just work with them to for the grace to forgive themselves? What are some of those things that you kind of help people out with to for that?
Hmm. Grace. You said it. Grace. To me, grace is the greatest tool. Um,
Right.
you knew what you knew at the time.
There you go.
And consider that had the information been presented to you at that time, you were possibly not ready to receive it.
Mm.
You were possibly
Mm.
not mature enough to receive it. You were possibly not equipped enough emotionally to receive it. Now you are. I think something else I like to offer people too is to consider that the opportunities were actually always there.
Yep.
They just weren't able to see them because of everything that they were, being blinded by. But now that the blinders are off, it seems as if the opportunities are suddenly rushing at them. They've always been there. So to not think of themselves as lucky or unlucky, it's not a question of that. It's a question of what you were ready to receive, what you were ready to receive, hear, and see at the time. And there's no
Yep.
shame in that your body was only ready to receive or your mind was going to receive a certain message at that time. Now you're ready. So here we are.
Right, and I think that's
Do
key. I
you do
think
that?
that's key. What's that?
Do you do that with your clients? I'm curious, like, what are your techniques when you have them stuck in the past?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Sometimes we'll do some visualization techniques, but really it's the grace. It's kind of the same thing that you said. Was curious on how you approach it, but it's really and I wanted to reiterate what you said. The key thing there is you're only ready to receive what you can at that point in time, and I really like to just point to put out there that um, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
And it I kinda stole this line from The Matrix, and if my buddy Jay's on here, he's gonna crack up when he hear me say it every time I say it. And it couldn't happen any other way than the way it's supposed to happen. And how do we know that? It's because we're still alive. We're still alive, we're still
Mhm.
growing. But yeah, that's one of those things that yeah, same thing. It's just you you only know what you know at the time, and you can only get to where you're at and to where you're going at the times that you're supposed to. Now, of course, everybody likes to, and I'm human. I'm one of them. I like to kind of, like I think we all like to beat ourselves up a little bit, like, oh, I wish I would have known this. Like you said, wish I had known that
Mhm.
earlier. Wish I would have. But yeah, that's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, but you didn't. So this is where we're at. So I'm just kind of,
Well, it's like it's pointless to wonder because they wonder, and there's no guarantee that had you known it, you would have used it
oh yeah,
correctly, the
right,
information, that it
right,
would have changed anything at all. You don't know, so it's pointless to wonder, right? But there's something else too. It reminds me of. Have you ever had this happen? To me, this happens a lot with stuff my parents told me. Like people will tell you something, they'll drop you a nugget of truth. You'll
yep,
hear it, you
yep,
go, okay, I get it. But
right,
it's not till years later that all of a sudden there's something that happens that you fully are like, oh,
yep,
I really understand now. Right. And that's what I feel like it is too sometimes is that you just, even if you are hearing it, just may not be in a place to fully understand and absorb what it means. So
yeah,
give yourself some grace, cut
yeah,
yourself some.
absolutely, and I also think that, it's a lot of times it's a seed. A seed needs to be planted, and it's like you said, it's just you're just not ready for it at that time, and it's gotta germinate, and that life just has to happen, and sometimes you gotta be broken down in order to be built back up, and then you're like because, when we're in our early when we're in our 20s for the most part, we know everything. So so we know a lot more than we think that we we really know. and then yeah, and then you look up and you're like, "How'd I get here?" And then those those nuggets start coming back up.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, for
absolutely.
sure.
And like you said, I love what you said. It's you're not ready for it at the time. It's when you're ready. When you're ready for it, that's when it comes.
Mhm,
That's when it comes. So let me ask you this. Well, so what we kind of already talked about, the life coach and essential movement coach, but what kind of geared you? You've been doing it for over a decade, right?
mhm.
So what kind of gear what started you? I'm always interested with coaches. What started you down that path?
Yeah. So, I started in an unusual way. I started the Central Movement coaching first as a student in Los
Okay.
Angeles.
Okay.
I was an actor in LA and I had the typical lifestyle. I was, you go to your trainer, you go to your bartending gig, you run your auditions during the day. So I'm with
Right.
my trainer. I'm a newlywed at the time. And she's talking to me about some pole dancing class she took. And I'm like, yeah, I like strip clubs. Those are fun. I've been to a few. Like, whatever. This sounds like this could be fun.
Right.
So I get the information and I go to the class. And it was just blew my mind. It wasn't what I expected. And I don't know what I expected. I really don't. I just walked in and I know that what happened in there was important. It was
Mhm.
transformative and it was something I had never experienced. And the women around me, I could feel them feeling it too. So I became a part of that community.
Right.
I became a trained instructor there with them. And then I went on to retail. And the retail company I worked with was called Lululemon. And they were the
Okay.
first ones who actually introduced me to things started. I'd never heard of self development. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't
Okay.
recognize that what I was doing with the women in the pole dancing class was actually a form of self development. I just thought
Right.
we were just teaching them to be confident and sensual, but I didn't realize all this stuff was happening, right?
Right.
And they would tell me, they're like, this is like therapy. I'm like, pole dancing? They're like telling you, like, I quit my therapist to come to this class because this has been so tremendously helpful. So the Lululemon experience was the first time that I thought about being a life coach. And I had a young woman come in to shop with me one day and just talking. I was like, what do you do? She's like, I'm a life coach. I'm like, what is that? She's like, well,
Right.
I help
Right.
people, with their problems, whatever. All these things together, light bulbs were going off. But that essentially working for that company, all the development, that sparked my desire to take what I was doing with the women in pole dancing and my life coaching and bring them together in a sense so that I could offer this full spectrum of coaching for women because it really does help them on every level when I'm able to pull out tools from either life or sensuality for them.
Right. 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 That's pretty cool. So that's funny how kind of it, I always say your purpose finds you. You don't really find your
Yeah.
purpose, your purpose finds you, and you just put yourself in place to be able to find. It's funny how it gets kind of just attacked. I won't say attacked, but it kind of just converged on you from two different directions. Oh, and it's just like put
Chauncey,
these two
what
together.
was even weirder, I was an actor before and
Right.
I had just left. I had just left the industry or was ready to leave the industry because I had had a series of like heartbreaking, almost you're going to
Mm,
book it. And I was so done. Right.
yeah.
And I think at this point I hadn't had my child yet. I left, had my child, came back. But at the time when I was an actor, I remember what I was best in the world at. I was a pretty good actor, but what I was better at was helping my friends with their auditions. Like I was a
Yes.
better coach.
Right.
Right. And then I started working with these women in the thing, not realizing I was technically coaching there also,
Right.
right? And that was just naturally my role throughout my life. And again, you're right, your purpose finds you because in each instance, the Lululemon thing came about because I told one of the pole dancing girls, I said, I need a job that's like no brainer, a lot of fun. She's like, oh, go work at this little yoga store I work at. And then that was it. And that's how that all just kind of fell into place. And I am here because of these pathways that I walked and
Right.
trusted. Mhm.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, and I like what you said there. I mean, obviously, absolutely, it's the pathways, but it's also about kind of trusting that process and just rolling within that. I'd say you kind of flow within that. You got to go with the flow, but you got to make sure you're kind of in the right stream. But you're definitely in the right stream and getting flown. You
Mhm.
going in
Yeah.
that. So that's yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, got the Lululemon, that kinda just everything. Coaching is popping up. You're just coaching, coaching, coaching. So then what made you decide at what point did you decide? Because there's some people on here that might think about being coaches, that might think about being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur. What made you decide, "Okay, I'm gonna actually officially kinda turn the switch and make this actual, business," versus just, helping out
Yeah.
people?
Um, I think it's just I was always looking for as my purpose in my at that time, I was thinking my purpose, I just wanted it to be my job. I
Right.
didn't think at the time, in my earlier days and even in my own self-development that they had to be two different things. Like I could have a job that just paid my bills and I could work my purpose, right? So kind of nothing to nothing. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna go be a coach. Um, and at the time, I was working for Lulu, and my husband at the time was working his job, and he and I both kind of at the same time were like, we don't want to do these gigs anymore. So I looked at some of my old goals, and one that I had taken off was to open my own studio. And I'm going to go get my certification, which I had already been thinking about because I was working at Lululemon. And team in Vancouver, I want to do this on my own. I'm going to be a coach. I want to help other people with the way they've helped me.
Right.
The studio piece still came about because I was tired of working retail. I didn't want to work 9 to 5. I didn't want to work for anybody else. So
Yep.
the entrepreneurial thing was sparked, and Lululemon's all about entrepreneurship, and
Yep.
they very much. So I teamed up, opened up this gym, and at that time I was coaching, running this gym. So the gym technically was the job that was supplementing the income, so that I could go coach, and build
Gotcha.
my clientele and what have you. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So the entrepreneur spark was always kind of just there, but just kind of dormant.
I knew I was gonna own something. And I knew I wanted my own studio. I needed my own space for these women to come to comfortably, right? The
Right.
gym ended up being like a co-ed gym, and I had my own separate area for just the women. But it definitely was one of those things where I'm a great team player. I will take
Hmm.
the team all
Hmm.
the way to the top. I will ride hard for you as your right hand. You can lead, and I know how to step back, and I knew I wanted to run my own thing. So yeah, and that's what I did. And it was a little bit scary. I don't want to make it sound simple because a lot of
No,
people
no.
don't have, you know, we had a little bit of cushioning. We could make those moves. It's not like we just left jobs and didn't think about it. Like we had a little bit of a plan. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I just want to put that out there. And coaching, I think, is most successful in my experience for anybody who is listening who may coach when it is done first and primarily from your heart and with the
Right.
desire to help. So getting straight on your why and you're clear on your why because the money comes later and it's just a desire to help others. And then at some point, really understanding, where your hustle, so to speak, to make it into a business. But really, I think initially it is most effective when people do it because they really want to help the way they've been helped.
Right. No, absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of coaches I've talked to kind of have the same kind of it's almost like the same type of scenario where they got into self development, didn't really either didn't know or knew it was self development, didn't really know how far it went, and then that kind of sparked something in them, and a lot of times they were already entrepreneur minded. Because I mean, honestly, let's be real. If you're an actor, you're really self employed. You're
100%.
really self-employed, you know?
Hmm.
So you've gotta have that self-employed entrepreneur mind going in, doing that to begin with, and
Yeah,
then,
you're the product as a coach, whether you like it or not. You are the product, so you got to be able to put the product out there, talk about the product, advertising the product, saying that this is one of the best products on the market. Like if you can't say your product is the best product on the market, you're going to have trouble,
right.
being
No,
a
absolutely.
successful coach. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not to say that can't be other successful, when I tell people, what are you best in the world at? They get so uncomfortable with that question.
Right.
And I'm like, you got to be able to say, I'm best in the world at, coaching others. And if you can't, it doesn't mean that Chauncey's not best in the world also.
Right.
Like, there can be many people who not self, the confidence of self and your abilities and knowing that you're damn good at what you do.
So now let's take that. Let's go down there for a little bit. So why do you
Hmm.
do like so? And I agree, and I think I've run into it. I think a lot of people run into that before. So why do you think it is that people feel uncomfortable being able to say that? I mean, I know it's not a simple cut and dry type of thing, but
Oh, we're not taught to
yeah,
humble, 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 be humble. Because what's thought again to be noble in society is to be incredibly humble, to act like you don't know.
yep,
But it's so silly.
yep, yep,
Chelsea, if you know and you're really good at something, like
yep,
why are you going to spend time acting like you don't know? Why can't you simply be comfortable in saying, thank you? I know I worked really hard at being that good at it. I appreciate you acknowledging it, but you don't have to act like you don't know. It's
right.
silly.
But it's so hard. It's so hard for people. A lot of
Oh,
people
it
to break
is
through
hard.
that.
It is because it's beaten into you. Be humble, be humble, be humble. Don't show off. Don't
Yep.
brag. Don't be this. And then I think we also don't have a clear enough understanding between narcissism and confidence, between
Yes.
arrogance and confidence. There's a difference between the two.
Yep.
There's a difference between the two. And, confident people don't need to be arrogant people. And arrogant people aren't always confident.
Right.
You know what I
And
mean?
sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's a reframe all the way around, but it's a practice. It's a practice. Like I've been telling the story to people, but recently it was a practice from another coach. And her challenge was, next time someone pays you a compliment to just say, I, oh, really? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So someone came up to me and they said, you're a really good instructor. And I said, I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. And she kind of looked at me
Yeah.
because she wasn't expecting that answer. And I could see it like kind of computing, like, was that Eric?
Right. Right.
And then she kind of laughed and she's like, that's funny. I was like, what? She's like, just the way you answered, it's kind of cool. And I'm like, but I'm just like, if you don't know you're good at something, you have no business trying to be out here doing it then.
Woo, say that again. See, say that again.
Just saying, if
Yeah,
you do not
right,
know you out here trying to do it then.
right. See, that's a huge one, and
Right?
true. Right.
That's it. That's it and that's all.
So, yeah, no, that's that. No, that's a big one, and then that is, I will say that is one of those things. It's funny you say that because that's one of those things. Me personally, I've worked on as well. It's just like, just thank you. Somebody gives you a compliment, thank you. Because I mean, a lot of times we just try to, people thank you, and they'll try to add that, try to throw it back at them, immediately, and it's just like, no, sometimes it's all right
Oh,
just to
you were
say thank
so good too, though. Oh, but you're
you.
so handsome too. It's like, just no,
Yep,
just sit with your
yep,
compliment.
yep, exactly. This is sit there, take it, and be all right. But
Yeah,
obviously give it back when you have the opportunity to.
right. I
So
promise you, you're gonna live. You will survive. Center of attention.
right.
It's
Uh-oh.
okay.
Okay, there we go. I think I got you back. Hey,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Have you been able to hear me? Okay.
yeah. It's cutting in and out. It just cut out a little too long that time, but we got
Okay.
you.
I just wanna make sure.
So, I normally like to keep these, about, 30 to 40 minutes, but, so the last thing I want to talk about is, so the community you got on TikTok, like, let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, that because, you're on there. I see you on there. I'm not on TikTok as much as I used to be because I'm staying crazy busy, but I do see that you're on there empowering, uplifting, you've got a community that is, I mean, you're just building up beautiful souls on there. So if you could talk a little bit about that, like what kind of got you, what got you there, and like what have you seen during that journey? Because
God,
it's
I
been
love
an
them.
amazing journey from what I've seen.
No, honestly, I love this community. I resisted TikTok. I think like many people, especially, people over 40. I'm going to be 50 this year. I resisted I had people, and they were just like, you got to go on. All of them younger than me. All of them younger than me.
Mhm.
They're like, you got to get on TikTok. I'm like, I don't do the dance thing. I don't. It's just not my thing, and I'm not going to do skits. I love doing skits, but I don't see how I can incorporate them with my coaching. Like, I just didn't understand the scope of what was going on. She's like, I'm telling you, there are worlds I not know beyond the dancing.
Yep.
So I started poking around. I made a couple of videos, nothing. And then I started making a few more, and I made one day sporadically. And it's always one of those things where you don't plan it, right? My kid
Right.
was being trained next door by his private trainer. I go into the gym. This was at our private gym, our gym that we own. I go into the studio that was empty, and I was like, well, I feel like saying something inspiring to these women today. What am I going to say? And I just popped off this energy and how to, maintain it daily, just a quick 15 minutes. And it went off. And you know how it
Mm.
suddenly. And that was kind of the beginning. And I don't know how it's happened because I get asked this a lot. I have about a 98, 97% female following. And
Right.
yes, I have
Okay.
a 3% following that is male, and you're probably one of the 3%.
What are the
There's a
3?
few other. Thank you, Hector. Homeboy who did STEM research. He was so cool. I remember he was so funny. He's like, I don't know why you were on my feed, but I support you in what you're doing, and I'm gonna just like your video and support you. So
Right.
you all have been amazing, and the do follow are so beautiful and respectful in their presentation and how they support. And it's been super, super great to have that. So yeah, I love this community because unlike some of the other platforms, they interact with you. How should they
Yes.
talk to you, right? They talk to
Yes.
you, they interact with you. You have can try my hardest to knowledge can, but I love them. I really do. Like I don't know these people, but they have been
Mhm.
so tremendous in helping me build my business and helping me around the world now. I'm very grateful to them. Very grateful.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and what's great, I think, about at least on the Tik I think Instagram is trying, but at least in the TikTok community, is just it truly is a community, and people, they don't expect perfect, they don't expect
Mm-mm.
polish, and they kind of, like, actually kinda turn, unless it's a well put together skit, they kinda turn away from something that's super polished. They don't resonate or gravitate to it, so I think that's the it's the kind of the realness factor on there that's pretty amazing, and yeah,
I love
and
it. I know I can show up barefaced
right.
or face. They're gonna love me either way. There will be no commentary. Be like, oh, where's your makeup? Or they're just real. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just I feel like IG is kind of a strange place. And for
Yeah.
some reason TikTok is a community and a bunch of tiny little worlds
Yep.
and little communities, right? But they're fierce about the people that they follow and they protect, and I just love it. I love how they protect each other too in the comments. And the women have started really doing a beautiful job of supporting each other. Like I don't even have to go into sometimes some of these threads because they're doing such an amazing job.
Yep.
And I always tell them I'm not the only one with medicine. You all have good medicine. You
Right.
all have good medicine. So
Right.
share it with each other.
And they're going in, helping each other out, and they're going in
Yeah.
and supporting each other, and that for me, I'll sing the praises of TikTok until it gets, crazy and we move on to the next thing, but I'll sing the
Right.
praises of TikTok because of that, because and it all and really TikTok is one of those that really, it will serve up what you put out. So it's like, if you're putting out,
True.
if you're looking for good stuff, you're gonna get that good, content, that good following. But if you're spitting out a bunch of hatred, it's gonna come back to you. So it's really interesting to see, how that algorithm hits. But people, to your point, I've seen that too, is that everybody helps each other out in the comments, and everybody looks out for each
Hmm.
other. And people have shared, um, they they follow each other as well. So, we're, getting over the 30-minute mark, but I want to ask, like, want to find out from you what projects or what do you have coming on down the pipe? I know you got something. I know you got something coming down the pipe. So let me go ahead and put myself. I'm gonna put myself tiny, and I'm
Okay.
gonna take myself out. Go ahead, talk about it.
All right, so this Wednesday at 11 a.m., which is the 15th of March, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you go to my link in my bios on any of my feeds, whether on IG or TikTok, I have a free event for women. It's my second one. I did one last week. I had 100 women come online, 600 signed up, 100 made it on. And then I'm going to do it again this Wednesday, hopefully for another group. But it's basically us talking about self love, and then we do a little sensual movement as well. And it's free. So you can sign up for that. And it also is kicking off my Goddess Mentality 4-week challenge, which begins in April. So I'll be talking about that as well. It's 4 weeks, live calls with me for people who are struggling to get that self love journey started. It's like, let's just do it simple. Let's break it down. Let's create a community of people to support you through it.
Okay, I think I
Did
can
you
see
hear
that.
me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Tell me
No, I
you
heard you.
heard me.
Oh, no, I heard you. I heard you. I heard you. When I came out, like everything was super clear for like it was
Okay.
like it was super clear. But I was like, man, she's on the road. Do I need to, can I come back or no? I was like, can I come back now?
That's it. That's all I got.
No, no, that's a lot. That's awesome. So you got that free event. You said the 15th. So
The
that's coming
15th,
up.
this Wednesday, March
This
15th. Yep.
Wednesday. Yep. So you know, make sure. Okay, there we go. It's the 12th. I got like 3 days.
Three
Get your
days.
butt on there. You got all the social medias down there at the bottom for for
Yeah.
everybody that's watching this now. If you're watching on the replay and it's after the 15th, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But for those that are watching it before the
You can still
15th,
join the challenge though. They can do
you
the
still
challenge
doing the there you
in
go.
April.
You can still do the challenge. So so let me ask you this before we head let me get myself back over here. I'm in a little tiny meat. There we go. Before we head out, so if you had to give just one piece of advice
Hmm.
for to everybody in general, but again, your audience is 97% ladies.
Hmm.
What if you had to one piece of advice to
Mm.
help spark maybe that empowerment, that movement, that next level, taking their life to that next level, what would that be? And I'm gonna give you the stage.
Hmm. I would say my share, or my offer to you, if you are listening, is if you're struggling to find a way to put yourself first, to stand, I want you to consider yourself as your own best friend. And if it's hard, consider if your best friend came to you with the same thoughts that you have about yourself, if your best friend came to you with the same doubts and fears about themselves, what would you say? And I invite you to say those same things to yourself, because honestly, the relationship starts there with how you talk to yourself, how you, no one's going to do it better than you.
Ooh, Jesus. Ooh. All right. Hope y'all got that one. That was good. But no, that's true. That is true. And I've heard yeah, that is one that is so important that a lot of people yeah, that's good. People don't think about that as much. I heard it said before, uh, love others as thyself, doing others as you do yourself. All the variations of the golden rule, but
Sure.
that presupposes that you love yourself. That's a presupposition there that a lot of times we don't even, we're like, shoot.
That's
So
that's so, like, you just blew my mind with that one, because you're right, because I never think about how often we don't. You got to love yourself first before you do. Yes. Yes.
absolutely. And then
Yes.
but to your point, that's the key thing is
Hmm.
a lot of people treat their best friends better than they do themselves in their mind. So
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, willing to stand up for themselves, willing to do everything for somebody else, drive in the middle of the night for somebody else, but you won't get up to do something for you.
right.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here. Again,
Mm.
we've got the 15th, the
Yes.
free event coming up. We got you said the 4-week course, right?
4-week course is
coming up
starting April 5th. Yep.
April 5th.
Yep.
So get in one of them. All right. If you're on this, if you if you're out here and you're listening and you're liking all this good stuff, get in one of them. At
Thank
least
you so
there's
much.
one that you be able to get into. Um, you know what though? You got to. This is gonna this is just me fanboying right quick. You've got to say the thing.
Mama, goddess, queen, woman. I hope I see you on the 15th.
Boom, we got it. We got it. That is every time I see a video that starts off like that, I'm like, oh, some good part of my friends. But I'm like, some good shit is about to happen. There's gonna be some knowledge dropped. Whenever I hear that at the beginning of the video, I'm like, man, there is some good shit about to come after this. Because
Thank you
you
so
can't
much.
just start that. You can't start that and not drop some jewels. And I know every time I hear that, there's some jewels gonna be dropped. So y'all just heard that. I mean, the 15th is gonna be jewels dropped. Y'all need to be there. So make sure that y'all are there on the 15th. So I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you for sharing, with us your journey and kind of, how everything is going for you. I appreciate it and love your content. Whenever I do get a chance to see it, like I said, I haven't been on TikTok. I know my community is gonna kill me when I get back on TikTok, but I know that I haven't been no, they're not, but haven't been on there as
They
much. But every time I
noticed.
see,
They noticed.
oh,
They
I
noticed,
know, no,
Chauncey.
I know, oh, I know, oh, trust me, they make me aware. They make me aware. I'm like, "Ooh, Jesus." So yeah, I gotta drop a video here after this. So,
There you go.
but appreciate you being here. Again, all of the social medias are right down here on IG and TikTok. And then we got the Facebook and the website. And so they're gonna register on the you can go through the I think it's a link tree on the IG and the TikTok. It'll have the
Hmm.
information there. And
Easiest way to do it.
yep, yep. Y'all saw it. And if you own IG and you haven't hit that follow button, follow. If you're on TikTok, follow it. You're not gonna be you're not gonna be let down. So appreciate you being here. Thank you for showing up and for letting us your world a little bit.
Thank
And
you.
as always, appreciate everybody being here and coming out. I love you. Namaste.